What's going on, guys? It's your boy Tater Don of Rhythm Records. Welcome back to another entry in my series, Pro Tools Explained, where we go over every aspect of the Pro Tools interface from start to finish. In today's video, I'm showing you how to build a full recording session from scratch, the right way. Today, we're going to set up your instrument track, vocal recording track, vocal bus, and master fader, all properly routed so you can be ready to record and mix cleanly. Now that we've got our blank session open, let's add all the tracks that we'll need to build the full recording setup. To add tracks, there's two ways to do it. The first way is to go up to the track menu, select new, and it'll bring this pop up here. Otherwise, on your keyboard, you can hit Command Shift N, or if you're on a Windows computer, the Windows Shift N, and it'll bring it right up for you. It's always good to learn a few shortcuts to save you some time when you're in the middle of recording or editing. From here, we're going to build our foundation step by step. So we'll start with one mono audio track. This is the only track that's going to be armed for recording. It's linked to your microphone input so your vocals come straight in when you hit record. We'll keep this track clean and route it through a vocal bus for processing once we've got everything built. Keep this as mono audio track, and we're just going to name this one record. And we're just going to go over to this here and add a new row. Next, create 3 mono audio tracks. These are for your recorded takes, stacks, and ad-libs. Once you finish the take on your main recording track, you can drag and drop the clip into one of these and free up your main track for the next pass. It keeps your recording organized and gives you space to build layers without cluttering your playlists. In the quantity, we'll just do 3 mono audio tracks, and we'll name these vocals. Then we'll go over to here again and add a new row. Now add a stereo audio track and name it instrumental. If you're using a 2-track instrumental, this is where you'll drop it in. I always make this one stereo, as most beats are already mixed with left and right information. Once you drag the beat file onto this track, we'll make sure that the outputs are set so you can hear the playback later. So we'll go over to here, select stereo, audio track, and we'll name this one instrumental. And then go over to here and add a new row. Next, create a stereo audio track and name it vocal bus. This is your main processing lane. We'll send the output from all your vocal tracks here so they run through the same EQ, compression, and effects chain. It keeps your mix consistent and easy to control later. It also saves a huge ton on CPU, as you don't have to put compressors, EQs, and things like that onto each individual audio track versus sending them all to one vocal bus. So from here, we'll go to stereo. Track type, we'll change this one to aux input, and we'll call this vocal bus. Finally, let's make a stereo master fader. This controls the overall output of your session. Everything ends up here before it hits your interface or speakers. You'll watch this when you're checking for clipping and balancing in your overall mix levels. So we'll go over to add a new row. 1 stereo master fader, and we'll just leave this as master. So by now, your session should have 1 recording track, 3 extra audio tracks for takes or stacks, 1 beat track, 1 vocal bus, and 1 master fader. That's your full foundation right there. Next, we'll go through how to route each one so everything flows perfectly with your mic to your master output. From here, we can now hit create, and everything will show up as so and organized just how we had it internally. Now that all of your tracks are created, we'll set up the routing so everything flows the right way. To change the input and output of each track, there's 2 ways to do it. You can do it from the main edit window here, or you can head over to the mixing window and do it here as well. I'll be doing it from this main window here just to make it easier for you guys to see. But they are interchangeable in case you need to use that in the future. In case this input and output section is not there, just right click on this area here and go over down to the I/O section and just make sure that this is enabled so that you can follow along. For the recording track, set your input to mic line 1 or whatever input your microphone is on. This will be based off whatever interface that you're using. For me, I'm using my Apollo setup and my microphone is plugged into input 1. So from there, the top is always the input, the bottom is always the output. So we'll change the input using the top one here. Usually it'll say something like mic line 1, microphone 1, or anything of that nature. Everything really depends on how your interface is set up. Once you have your microphone selected, you can go ahead and click that. And now let's route the output of the recording track. Here, we'll want to set our output to bus 1, 2. This will feed into your vocal bus for later. So we'll click the output section here, go over to bus, and we'll go over to bus 1, 2. Next, we'll move on to the vocal tracks. Because we're going to be recording on one track and dragging it down to the vocal tracks, we don't need any input, so let's just make sure that we click on this and select no input for these 3. Now that we have the inputs disabled, we'll go over to these and select the output for these as well to be bus 1 and 2. A quicker way to do this though, if you hit each of the vocals, click on Shift. Now if you click on Alt Shift, hold that down at the same time, click bus 1 and 2, it'll convert and send everything over to vocal bus 1 and 2 at the same time, so you don't have to do it individually. It saves a little bit of time, and we all know that time is always money. Since we're sending the vocals to the vocal bus is going to be receiving this information. So any signal that is played from your microphone is going to be essentially recorded here, dragged down here, and be filtered and played through this. So let's go ahead and send the signal over. So the output of each vocal track is getting sent into the input of the vocal bus. So let's go ahead and select the input section of the vocal bus, go over to bus, and go over to bus 1, 2. Think of it as a normal bus. If you had a bunch of people that you needed to take to a certain destination, what's the most efficient way to get them there? Well, you'll put everyone on a bus, drive them to the location, and they will all behave and move at the same exact speed and get there at the same time. Why? Because they are all inside of the same bus. It's the same situation here. All of the audio will get sent into the same processing, so it'll be treated equally and all sound the same, all move the same. Just to be sure, let's just make sure that the output of the vocal bus is set to 1 and 2. Standardly, it should already be selected. Depending on your type of interface, you may have to change this, but for mine, it's already selected as 1 and 2. Next, we'll move on to our instrumental track. Again, because we aren't doing any recording on the instrumental track, we can go ahead and disable the input and change it to no input. And just be sure that the output of the instrumental is being sent to 1 and 2 as well, which it is in this case, but I'll click it just to be sure. So go over to output, go up to 1 and 2, go ahead and select that. Finally, we'll head over to the master fader. For the master fader as well, we'll set the output to main out 1, 2. This controls your total mix level. Select this here, output 1 and 2. So here's how your signal flow should look. We have your microphone recording track, we have your vocal tracks, we have your instrumental, vocal bus, and master fader. Now, for me, I like to order things in a certain way and color coordinate them to keep me organized and to make sure that I am being more efficient with how I'm using my time, and having everything organized is a good way to make songs faster and move more efficiently. So for the master fader, I just like to have it at the top here. To move it around, you will just click on the name and click and drag. So I like to have the master fader at the top here, and I always want to double tap this section here to change the colors of everything. But since this is a master fader, I like to leave it red. But for the master fader, I do want to leave it a brighter red. This is just for me. You can change it to whatever color that you feel is comfortable for you. Next, we'll move over the instrumental track. I like to drag this above the master because the beat will go here and it'll kind of be out of the way. So that when you're recording, you don't accidentally move anything over to this channel here, and everything will be up below and underneath. For the instrumental track, I like to leave this one yellow. But again, you can change it to whatever you feel is comfortable for you and your preference. For the recording track, we're going to leave it the standard red, but this one I'm going to make just a little darker so it kind of sets itself apart from the main master. For the vocals, we're going to leave these dark blue, but if you did want to change them, a quick way to do that is just to select the top half of this area here, drag down, or if you just wanted to select all of them at the same time over here, you can just click here, hold shift, and go up to this one, and it'll select all of these. Let's double tap here, and we'll leave these blue. But if you wanted to change them to any color, if you have all of them selected, they all will change at the same time. But I'm going to leave these of that deeper blue. For my vocal bus, I'm just going to make this one a brighter blue. For me, I wear glasses, so it's kind of hard for me to see. So having everything color-coded, it helps me in a pinch. So if someone's like, oh, can you move the vocals over? Can you move the beat over? I already kind of know what color is what. So I'm not searching for certain things, and I'm just moving accordingly and being as efficient as possible. One thing that I do want to note here is on my instrumental track, I always like to bring the volume of the instrumental down. There's two ways to do it straight off the bat. One way will be to come over here and drag this down. I tend to do about 10 decibels of a reduction just to make sure that we have enough headroom for the instrumental so it's not peaking and that we're not competing with the vocal input and turning it up too loud to compete with the volume of the instrumental. This way, we kind of fail-safe everything to make sure that we're not overcompensating in the vocal recording process and potentially clipping the signal. Because we all know in audio, having clipped vocals is never a good thing. So if you can avoid it at all costs, this will be the best way to go about that. Another way, if we kind of reset this here, is to open up the trim plugin. So to add a plugin, we'll go over here, type in trim, and it'll show up here. So from here, we'll just drag this down over to -10. Otherwise, you could just type in the number if you had a desired number specifically. I like to have my numbers really even, so we're just going to select -10 there. And we're just going to leave that plug in there. So whenever you drag in the audio track, it'll play, but it'll be reduced by 10 decibels. That way, like I said, we have enough headroom for the vocals so that we're not turning our input up too loud to where the vocals are competing and clipping or distorting. Once you have your setup configured, you can save it as a template. That way you can open Pro Tools, load your setup instantly, and start recording without setting everything up from scratch every single time. To save it as a template, all you'll do is go up to File, Save As Template, and we'll just name this one Test. If you'll be using this for future projects, we'll just make sure that the include media is not selected. Otherwise, it'll bring over the vocals and instrumental from this created session or whatever session that you're pulling this template from. And we don't want that. So we'll save it in the system. I have mine under post-production and I'll hit OK. All right, so this is episode 2 of Pro Tools Explained. You just built a complete Pro Tools session with vocals, buses, and routing, exactly how it's done in a professional studio. Next up, we'll get into the signal flow and tracking techniques so you can capture clean, consistent recordings every single time. It's your boy Tater Don signing out. I'll see you guys in episode 3. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe if you can. If you have any concerns, questions, or video ideas, feel free to leave a comment down below and I'll be sure to get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you for watching Pro Tools Explained. It's your boy Tater Don signing out.